You didn't get here by accident, and I'm going to prove that to you in the next 30 seconds. In the last 3 days, something has happened inside you that you still haven't been able to properly name. You woke up between 3 and 4 in the morning for no apparent reason. Your mind switched on as if someone had pressed a button inside your chest. You thought of someone you swore you had forgotten and spent too long holding your phone in your hand. You felt an unease in your chest that feels like anxiety but isn't. You looked in the mirror at some point during the day, and for a second, just a single second, you didn't recognize the person looking back. And now you are here, in this video, at this exact minute, and your mind is trying to convince you that it was the algorithm that brought you. It wasn't the algorithm. What is happening is older than any platform. And today, June 15th, a very specific window of time has opened, and it will push you toward one of 2 paths in the next 72 hours, regardless of your conscious will. The difference between those who use this window and those who are destroyed by it isn't luck. It isn't about being chosen. It isn't about having intuition. It's in the internal infrastructure. And it is precisely that infrastructure that I have come to deliver to you here today. If you stay until the end of this video, you won't leave as the same person who entered. I don't say this to impress you. I say this because you already feel it, and you know it's true. Before we continue, do one thing for me. Comment the word pronto if you feel that this transmission arrived at the exact minute. This comment is not for show. It is a marker. It anchors you inside the window. Those who comment, act. Those who only watch and swipe away will be repeating the same cycle next Wednesday as last month, and the month before that, and the one before that. Let's begin. What you are mistaking for fatigue, anxiety, or a bad day is a sign. Most people feeling what you are feeling right now will open Instagram in 10 minutes, watch cat videos, go to sleep, wake up tomorrow, and blame their insomnia on the coffee they had in the afternoon. They will blame the urge to send a message on emotional weakness. They will blame the restlessness on work stress, and the window will close for them, without them ever knowing they were inside it. This is the destiny of the sleeping crowd. You don't belong to this group. If you did, you wouldn't have clicked. You wouldn't have stayed. You wouldn't be hearing this right now. What has been reaching your field of perception in these last 3 days are invisible signs manifesting as events too small for your logical mind to register as important. The mild insomnia is not insomnia. It is your nervous system receiving information that needs to be processed before the conscious day begins again. The intrusive thoughts about the past are not longing. They are your body bringing to the surface cycles that are still pending closure. The sudden urge to send a message to someone you have already decided to move away from is not love, it is not lack, it is not weakness. It is your unconscious trying to discharge pressure before the next phase begins. That moment when you stared at the wall and felt that something was about to happen, but couldn't say what, that was not paranoia. It was recognition. Your internal system knows how to read windows before your rational mind translates them. And this is the first thing that needs to be absolutely clear. You are inside a larger process, and this process started 72 hours ago. You are only realizing it now. The energetic window of the new moon in Gemini didn't open tonight. It opened 3 days ago at the exact moment you started to feel strange, and it will close in the next 72 hours. The problem is that your nervous system, trained to survive the common day-to-day, has no vocabulary to process this. There are 2 labels available, anxiety or exhaustion. And everything that doesn't fit into these 2 boxes, he pushes into the basement. That is why 95% of the people inside this window at this very instant won't do anything. They will feel, they will get distracted, they will sleep, and when they wake up on Thursday, they will feel like they've lost something important, without knowing what. You will not be part of that group. Not today. That is exactly why I prepared the Magia M28 Exercicios as 28 chaves du despertar for you. I'll be direct. What is happening in your field right now is not an isolated sign. It is the beginning of an entire 28-day lunar cycle, and each of these days has an internal door that needs to be opened in the right sequence, with the right key at the right moment. 28 exercises, 1 per day. Each exercise is a key that unlocks a specific layer of what you cannot access on your own while on autopilot. The journey was designed for people who have felt different for too long, who feel that there is a correct life waiting for them somewhere, but who cannot translate this feeling into real physical movement. This course transforms your restlessness into language. It transforms your shadow into clarity. It transforms signs into concrete decisions, and it transforms consciousness into practical direction. The only thing that matters when a window like this opens. The link is in the first pinned comment of this video. Before you click, comment the word CHAV below. This comment is a symbolic commitment to yourself that this time it will be different. This time you won't let the window pass. Those who comment, act. Those who only read, repeat. Now pay attention to what comes next, because this is where everything changes. The new moon in Gemini on June 15th is not an astronomical event. Repeat after me. It is not an astronomical event. It is a psychological turning point where the cost of remaining trapped in your current life becomes physiologically greater than the terror of taking the next step. You need to understand this because the spiritual industry sold you a lie. The idea that the universe will come down and save you. The universe doesn't come down. The universe opens windows. And a window opened without someone on the other side to walk through is just air passing through an empty hole. What happens specifically between June 14th and 15th is an amplification. Think of a speaker turned to volume 3. You speak into it, nobody hears. Now think of the same speaker turned to volume 28. You whisper into it and the sound reaches the street. The new moon in Gemini window does this to your unconscious. Everything you have been pushing down, the truths you avoid, the decisions you postpone, the conversations you don't have, the no's you don't say, the yeses you don't speak, all of this gains volume. It comes out of the basement. It knocks on the door of consciousness. And you feel it as anxiety, as insomnia, as the urge to run away, as the urge to cry out of nowhere, as the impulsive desire to change your entire life in 15 minutes. It's not mysticism. It's amplification. It's a mirror with increased volume. And here is the problem and the opportunity. Most people, when the volume goes up, do only one thing. They try to turn it down. They take medicine, they drink, they get distracted, they fight with someone, they send a message they shouldn't. They go back to a relationship that had already ended. They make an impulsive purchase. They quit their job in a 5-minute outburst. They tattoo the name of someone who doesn't deserve to be on their skin forever. These people confuse amplification with clarity. And here is the iron rule of this window. Amplified emotion is not clarity. It is volume. They are different things. Volume only becomes clear when you reduce your speed. The minority, the part of humanity that knows how to read windows, does the opposite. When the volume goes up, they decrease external movement and increase internal observation. They don't make permanent decisions. They don't answer important messages on first impulse. Don't cut ties in the heat of the moment. Don't promise things you'll have to fulfill in the lucid state of next Tuesday. She listens to the volume, notes what appears, waits for it to pass, and then, only then, decides what was a real sign and what was amplified noise. That is the internal infrastructure I mentioned at the beginning. That is what separates the two groups. It's not a gift. It's not being chosen. It's method, and method can be learned. There are 4 specific impulses that appear with triple the force within a lunar window like this one, and which destroy more lives than any external crisis. I'm going to name each one, and I want you to mentally note which of them has been most active in you over the last 48 hours, because what you do not name governs you. Impulse number 1, the permanent decision made in an emotional state. You are going through a difficult phase, and suddenly an idea appears with such great force that it feels like a revelation. I'm going to quit my job today. I'm going to end this relationship right now. I'm going to move to another city. I'm going to cut ties with my family. The idea arrives with an almost mystical clarity, and you swear you heard the voice of intuition. You didn't. You heard your nervous system asking for quick relief from a pain that is unbearable. Permanent decisions made to relieve temporary pain are the most expensive decisions in human life, without exception. Wait. 72 hours. If 72 hours pass and the decision still makes sense with your nervous system regulated, then yes. Before that, it's just volume. Impulse number 2, sending the message. You feel a tightness in your chest, and your mind offers you an immediate solution. If I send this message, it will bring relief. It could be to an ex, it could be to your father, to your mother, to a friend you fought with, it could be to your boss. The message feels urgent, feels necessary, feels liberating. It is not. Sending a message to relieve anxiety is the most sophisticated way to transfer your pain to someone else, in the false name of honesty. And the worst part, after you send it, the relief lasts 4 minutes, and the shame lasts 4 days. 72 hours of silence. If the message still makes sense after that, write it. Before, delete it. Impulse number 3, returning to the past. The window amplifies nostalgia. Suddenly you remember the good moments of a relationship that had already ended for solid reasons. You remember the old job where you were happier, forgetting the exact reason why you left. You remember the city where you lived before, the house where you grew up, the person you were at 18. Nostalgia, inside the window, is not an invitation to go back. It is a request for closure. Your unconscious is not telling you, go back there. It is telling you, finish processing this so you can finally move forward. Those who confuse the two requests return to places they had already left and have to leave again, at double the emotional cost. Impulse number 4, ignoring the body's signals. This is the most dangerous one because it is the most silent. Your body has been telling you things for weeks. The pain in your neck, the sting in your back, the tightness in your stomach before a specific meeting, the urge to cry in the shower, the feeling of shortness of breath when a certain person enters the room. You are ignoring it, pushing it down, taking painkillers, buying supplements, scheduling tests that always come back normal. The body is the oldest part of you. It knows things that your rational mind will still take months to discover. Inside the window it screams, and ignoring the body's scream inside a lunar window is the energetic equivalent of slamming the door in the face of a messenger who came to save your life. 4 impulses, each disguised as clarity, each asking for quick action, each capable of starting a 2-year cycle of regret. And this is where things get even more subtle. Because beyond these 4 obvious impulses, there are 6 mental disguises that your own psyche creates to deceive you, and which you, at this very moment, are probably mistaking for intuition. I will name the 6. You will recognize at least 3 of them operating within you over the last 48 hours. And recognizing them in the context of this window is already half the cure. First disguise, nostalgia disguised as intuition. When you feel, was that supposed to work out with that person? And you are sure it is the universe giving you a sign. It is not the universe. It is selective memory amplified by the window. Intuition does not ask you to go back. Intuition asks you to move forward. Second disguise, fear disguised as prudence. When you feel a strong resistance to a new opportunity and your mind gives you 15 perfect rational arguments to refuse it, it is not prudence. It is fear dressed up as an adult. Prudence analyzes facts. Fear amplifies hypothetical catastrophes. Learn the difference. Third disguise, neediness disguised as love. When you feel an overwhelming sense of longing for someone and interpret it as, it's real love, that's why it hurts so much. Not necessarily. Inside the window, neediness becomes electrified. Real love does not destabilize the nervous system to that extent. Neediness does. Learn to feel the difference in your body. Fourth disguise, exhaustion disguised as revelation. When you are exhausted mentally and physically and suddenly everything becomes clear, you need to drop everything, move to the beach, become an artisan. The window amplifies this type of thinking and it feels liberating, but exhaustion does not produce clarity. It produces escapism. Rest first, decide later. Fifth disguise, impulse disguised as courage. When you feel a sudden urge to do something big, definitive, dramatic, to throw it all away, to say everything that was stuck in your throat, to break all the rules at once. Courage is a sober movement. Impulse is an electrified movement. Courage has direction. Impulse only has speed. Sixth disguise, overanalysis disguised as discernment. You spend hours thinking, weighing, recalculating, listing pros and cons. You think you are being intelligent. You aren't. The window activates analytical paralysis as a defense mechanism against the necessary decision. Discernment is a clean cut. Analysis is anesthesia in disguise. 6 disguises, 4 impulses, 72 hours. And now listen carefully. Everything I have said up to this point, the window, the impulses, the disguises, is worth absolutely nothing if you do not have a physical protocol to get through it. Insight without action is intellectual sophistication. It is poison disguised as wisdom. You watch, you feel like you've understood, you feel like you've grown, and by Thursday, you are making exactly the same choices as before. I will not let that happen to you. That is exactly why I prepared the Magia M28 Exercicios, as 28 chaves do despertar within this specific lunar cycle. The journey begins now, lasts 28 days, and each day delivers a real physical movement, not a pretty reflection, not a mantra, not a vague visualization. Movement, decision, structure. The link is in the first pinned comment. Window open now. Decision by the end of the day. Come back to me here. I am going to give you the containment protocol I promised. The protocol is called the 14 lines. It is a 14-minute handwritten exercise. Not typed, not spoken. It is by hand, on physical paper. I will explain exactly why. When you write by hand, your brain processes at a speed 3 times slower than when you type. And that slowness is exactly the point. You need to decrease the speed of your internal volume before deciding anything. A pen in your hand is a break. You will divide the 14 minutes into 2 parts of 7. 7 minutes for discharge, 7 minutes for naming. First 7 minutes, discharge. You sit down with your notebook, set a timer, and write without stopping, without correcting, without judging all the truths that you are avoiding. Everything you haven't said to someone, everything you haven't said to yourself, everything that comes to mind. It doesn't matter if it comes out ugly. It doesn't matter if it comes out contradictory. It doesn't matter if you write the same sentence 20 times. What matters is that the pen doesn't stop. The goal is to take everything out of the basement and throw it onto the paper. The paper can handle it. You can't. Last 7 minutes, naming. You reread what you wrote, and for every block of truth that appeared, you answer a single question. What needs to be left behind for this truth to be able to breathe? It could be a belief. It could be a person. It could be a routine. It could be an old version of you. You write in short sentences, I leave behind X, I leave behind Y, I leave behind Z. It is not a positive affirmation. It is an exit inventory. When the 14 minutes are up, you close the notebook. And then comes the most important rule of all. You do not act on anything you wrote for the next 24 hours. You sleep on it. You wake up. And only after sleeping do you decide what will become real physical movement and what was just venting. Those who ignore this 24-hour rule turn the exercise into a weapon of impulsivity. Those who respect it turn the exercise into the exact bridge between internal chaos and clear decision. This protocol alone already changes your week. If you do it today before going to sleep, you will wake up in a different configuration than who you have been for the last 3 days. I guarantee it. But, and here is the critical point, an isolated exercise does not build a new life. It builds a moment of lucidity within a life that remains the same. You will feel the relief on Wednesday, you will feel the clarity on Thursday, and next Monday the cycle starts over, exactly as before at the same point. That is why videos alone are not enough. They give you the spark. But the structure is built by the journey, and that is why I'm calling you now, without beating around the bush, into Magia M28 Exercicios, as 28 chaves do despertar. 28 days, a complete lunar cycle, 28 specific keys, each one unlocking a different internal layer in the exact sequence. Day 1, you open the door. Day 7, you cross the first threshold. Day 14, you confront the shadow. Day 21, you integrate. Day 28, you close, not in the same place where you started, but 28 days ahead on the real timeline. I designed this journey for people exactly like you. People who feel too much, perceive too much, know too much, and yet remain trapped in cycles that do not match who they are on the inside. This course is the structure. It is the bridge between what you feel and what you live. The next window with this amplitude will only open again in 28 days. If you wait for the next one, you have waited long enough. The link is in the first pinned comment. You click now or you close this video and pretend you didn't hear, and both paths have consequences. I won't push you. I will tell you the truth. Internal infrastructure is not built on its own. You need a method. Either you have one, or you are a hostage to your own impulses for the rest of your life. There is no third option. Now to close, I need to tell you one last thing. And this thing is not about the course, it is about you. What you heard today was the preparation. The revelation of what this specific window means for your personal timeline, for the next year of your life, for the decisions you have to make by the end of June, for the people who will still come and go from your path until the next lunar cycle, is in the next video, which will appear on the screen now. Click on it. The first 60 seconds of the next video will anchor you within the window. Don't turn it off now. Those who turn it off now lose the context, and losing the context of the window is the energetic equivalent of leaving the cinema in the middle of the movie. You heard the beginning, but you won't understand the end. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, I need to be direct. Every video here is a coordinate within a larger map of the year. Energetic portals do not come in isolation. They come in sequence. June prepares July. July triggers August. And those who watch scattered videos only receive pieces of the map. Without the full design, each piece loses its meaning. Subscribe now. Hit the bell. Because the next 7 days will bring specific information that will not be repeated anywhere else. Losing the sequence is losing the context, and losing the context is exactly what keeps the crowd being a crowd. Before you go, one more thing. Comment the word attraverse below if you feel this video arrived at the right time. This comment is registered in your field as a marker that this time it was different. This time you didn't let the window pass. This time you stayed until the end. This time you listened, and listening is the first movement of the decision. The window is open. The method is available. The next step is yours. Click on the next video now.